Hello, everyone. Brother Al McLean with Stewardship Video. And as always, we start with the disclaimer. No advice should be seen as a recommendation or endorsement, as I am not a licensed financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You want to do your own research. If you employ or have a financial advisor or registered investment pro, that's what they're there for. Seek their advice. This video is simply called Grace, and it was inspired by a devotional I got on this Sunday evening, in which I'm recording. And this is intentional because, again, like last Sunday, I wanted to wait till the option futures open. And Sunday, April 19th, this devotional said, "Do not let grace grow common. Look again at the cross and remember the cost of your peace." And how often we can just take for granted the grace afforded us by our Lord, and the work that Jesus did on the cross for us to allow us to have an eternal relationship with Him. And so you could see a picture of when me and my wife went on a cruise, and one of our stops, it was just a great picture of I don't know if it was Barbados or St. Thomas. I can't remember which one, but it was just beautiful. And when you see that, you just begin to reflect on God's grace. But every day we have um, pictures of grace that the Lord shows us. Romans chapter 1, verse 20 says, "For ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and sky. Through everything God made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing God. In other words, not knowing the ultimate author of grace." And it was Reverend Darrell Atkinson, our director of counseling at St. John Baptist Church, that pointed out to me the sunrise that I see every day in my office. And I just taken it for granted, right? It had grew common for me. And he was in there one morning. We were there early, and he was watching the sun come. He's like, "Wow, what a beautiful view you have." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? I've just started taking it for granted." And that's a picture you can see. You can see my cursor of the sunrise that I see every morning from my office, because I tend to get to the office early. So again, Romans 1 verses 20, chapter 1 verse 20 talks about each one of us has eternity in us. So because God made us in his image, which included eternity, that longing for it, there's only one place that we can fulfill that satisfaction, and that's in the Lord, the only true Lord, the God of the Bible. And Ephesians 2, verses 8 and 9 talks about the ultimate grace, that gift that he gave us. And where you see here is a sunrise on the cruise ship, the cruise we just took this year. Ephesians 2, verses 8 through 9 says, "God saved you by his grace when you believed." And you can't take credit for this. It is a gift from God. Salvation is not a reward for the good things we have done, so none of us can boast about it. So this forms our foundation of stewardship, because we know by God's grace, he's our provider, he's our sustainer, he's our creator. So we always need to go back and not take that grace for granted, because when we start taking that grace for granted, that becomes the inroad for discontentment. And then it goes into possibly the inroad of entitlement. So with that, let's change gears. Let's take a look at we started earnings season. What did I say? So uh Delta, always, that's the big company that ushers in earnings season. Nike represents the end of the major companies reporting for earnings season. So we're just getting started. First full week. So, well, last week we had the financials. Well, look at this week. United Healthcare, that's United Health Group, GE Aerospace, United, uh, 3M. United's going to be interesting to see, hey, are the fuel prices going to affect? And I learned an interesting thing last week about Delta. Somebody, a commentator on one, I think it was CNBC, said Delta is one of the best run airlines out there. Um, One thing that it has an advantage over the other airlines, they are the only airlines that owns its own refinery. So that could help them when it comes to fuel prices. DR Horton is reporting, Interactive Brokers, Boeing, IBM, Intel, Newmont Mining, Baker. I mean, just tremendous amount. Southwest Airlines, Texas Instruments, so many. And of course, I'm not going to leave the slide without Tesla. Tesla is reporting this week on Wednesday. I guarantee this market's going to move this week. I mean, in one day, you've got Boeing reporting before the open, AT&T reporting before the open of the market on Wednesday. Then at market close, you got Tesla and IBM and Southwest Airlines all reporting on the same day and Wednesday. So this is going to be a market mover this week. And of course, I'm going to be paying attention to Tesla because of some positions I have in Tesla. Again, here we go. No advice, no recommendation. Just because I mention it doesn't mean it's right for your portfolio or your trading. Let's pull back and think of, since we're talking about Tesla, um, the Artemis rocket landed safely. All right, this is a picture of when the crew was getting ready to launch. There's some pictures as it's parachuting into the ocean, so it came back safely. Um, I saw this article pop up. It says Elon Musk is Rocket Man. Space-related stocks have been flying this month, led by, again, this is not recommendation, Black Sky, Intuitive Machines, and you can see the stock symbols. You can see all these different and how they've been performing. Everyone's also looking forward, and that's why Tesla is going to be interested in the next couple of months because the IPO for SpaceX, it's up to $1 trillion like dollars when it's talking about the initial public offering. And I think they're sitting around June, July is when that is going to happen. So there's a lot of theory that people may start to offload their Tesla stock because they want SpaceX. But anyway it goes, looks like Tesla will probably move along with it. But there was also a couple of people that are thinking, Elon Musk likes to have things kind of tight in control, that eventually either Tesla folds up under SpaceX or SpaceX folds up under Tesla. So that is going to be moving the markets. So here's the earnings. If we pull back for the whole month of April and then going into May, you can get a good look at all the different reportings. We can see the week of the 27th. We got Amazon, Microsoft, Meta. I mean, that's definitely tech week. Then we start going into May, and then there's full of and all the way 18th, people, or the week of May 18th, people will be watching Nvidia, right? So there's a good snapshot. You can take a picture of that, pause it, and that gives you a good snapshot of all the earnings for the rest of April and into May. Now here is the price performance, and remember, I mean, just last week, this was a negative number. And I'm going to show you the chart of how much of a move was last week based on news, right? It was the news that, hey, the war is going to be over. So the market swung last week hugely. And even though there was some kind of bad inflation numbers that came in, but we went to positive for the first, I think, first time this year, maybe. Uh, and the other sectors continue to be the same ones that are strong for this year. Energy continues to be strong, industrials, materials, real estate, technology made a comeback. Utilities, the only ones that are in the red are financials and healthcare because market wasn't really happy with the earnings week with the financial. And in healthcare, it's have come off the possibly defensive. Now, as I said, news driven market. So you've got this headline just happened on Sunday, this weekend. U.S. fires and takes custody of Iranian cargo ship. So as I was saying, I waited and look what happened. The market is now, the futures open up in the red. And here's a chart of it. And this is, don't It's not a whole year. This is like a 1 day chart of the futures. And we close here in the green, over Friday. This is a 10-minute chart. And look at that dip where it opened this Sunday. So here's a pullback of the year. Um, and you can see, or year to, yeah, 1 year chart. You can see we're talking about this box, and we've been following this box, and look how we broke out. This is QQQ. Same thing for, oh, oh, this is actually both from a QQQ. SPY look amazingly just like that also. So that's this week's stewardship video. As always, remember Jesus is Lord, therefore He's the owner. We are His faithful managers following the principles of the Lord. And as we went all the way back to the very beginning, let's not take his grace for granted. Don't let it become common. We need to be awed and grateful for his grace each and every day, each and every moment. We'll see you next week.